If you're a young Christian guy in high school, this video is for you. I am the perfect person to tell you some lessons you need to know in order to get through high school. Because I just graduated. I'm 18. I graduated about 2 months ago on June 5th. So let's dive into this. Everything that is cool isn't cool. What do I mean by this? In high school, it is going to be a guarantee that there is going to be things that happen and trends that happen that people are going to be like, oh, dude, you got to do this. It's so fun. It's awesome. But the reality is it's not. And I don't want to sound like those old people, the parents that are always like saying the same thing that I'm saying. I'm saying this because I actually just lived it. What do I mean by this? Alcohol, drugs, fornicating, all of this stuff. It is so hard to be a Christian and stick to your morals and values in high school because even if you program yourself and you're having these good godly influences that are telling you, wait till marriage, develop yourself as a man, find Christ, follow Him, His teachings are above all. It is so hard to stick in that frame because you go to high school 5 days a week and you're seeing the same people over and over and over again. And the few times that you have the balls to stick up to what you believe in and you tell them, no, that is wrong. We shouldn't be doing that. It should be like this because this is what the Bible says. And then they laugh at you because they're like, ugh, whatever, bro. You don't know what you're talking about. Those behaviors that you're showing, while they're positive behaviors, it's getting negative reinforcement and you're getting discouraged for it. And this is something that people listen to and pick up on. Let's think about it. That guy that's trying to become popular, he's trying to make jokes, he's trying to do things, and when he receives positive reinforcement, he will do more of those things so that he can become the person he wants to be and become more popular in this game called high school. And that's the way it goes. Everything that you think is cool and is perceived as cool is not. It's only cool to the world. And as you get to your later stages in high school, and I just experienced a lot of this, your friends, your peers, the people that you talk to, because there's not many people who are actually serious about their faith in high school, they're going to be talking about, oh, bro, we went to that party last Friday, it was great, we did this. They're going to be talking about all the fond memories. They're going to be talking about how they were hungover the next day. They're going to be talking about, oh, how they banged this girl. And yeah, it's going to feel like you're missing out, right? You're not having that short-term pleasure. You're the guy that's just not practicing or participating in any of that. You're not going to the parties. You refuse to because you know it's the right thing to do. But you're hearing all of these memories that people had. You're hearing all of these amazing experiences that, don't get me wrong, did I think when I first heard them, oh, these losers? No, I thought that sounded fun. I wanted to go do that. But that is what your flesh wants to do. And I can tell you that there's going to be those old guys, right? They're telling you, oh, when you're young, when you're in your late teens or in your teens, it's all about having fun. It's all about having fun. Because you got to work hard later. Your life's going to suck later. So you might as well just enjoy the moment while you can. Just enjoy it while you can. This is the exact opposite from the truth. Because when you're young, that is when your habits are starting to form. And those are going to be the habits the rest of your life. You can break them, but the people who are going to go farther in their walk with God, in success, whatever that may look like, is going to be the people who set good habits early on. Going into my second point, let yourself be the odd one out. If you've seen my past videos, you know I have had a wild high school experience. Not in the way that you would think when I mean wild. Not partying, not all of this stuff. I went from freshman year being a regular kid, having a decent amount of friends, just being the average guy, like, oh yeah, he's a pretty chill guy, I'd hang out with him, to my sophomore year, where basically I was going on self-improvement a little bit. I had more confidence. I became more attractive because I had a different haircut. My braces came off. And then I started getting more attention from women. And then all of a sudden, I was on my high horse. I was super confident because when I was getting more attention from other people, more attention from women, I thought I was one of those people that was one of the popular kids. I thought I was something. And what I love is I went from that to later in the same year, in the spring, having a YouTube channel, and it gets found out, and bang! I am talking complete 180. My life gets flipped upside down. And everyone who I thought loved me, all the attention I was getting, was gone. Not to mention, I also got a buzz cut. So then, the one thing I had going for me wasn't there anymore, because now I was chopped to everybody because I decided to get a buzz cut. Complete 180. And this is how high school was. If you go against the grain, if you start talking about things that people don't like and people think are weird, they're all going to group up on you because that's what they do. And the hardest thing is I was too much of a coward. Whether what I believed, especially at that time, was right or wrong, I was too much of a coward to actually stand and say, no, this is what I believe. If you don't like what I have to say, move on. I was not like that. Now, some of the points I believed were completely false to what I believe now, because now I'm Christian and now I'm more focused on Christ and developing myself through that. But it's still the same idea. I remember specific times in my classes where we would have to have class discussions and all of this other stuff. And there was one time I was grouped with a few women, and even though I thought some of them were Christian and held those views, they didn't stand by that. And the sad thing is there is nobody in high school, at least from my experience, except maybe one person I can think of, who stood a little bit on what they believed. Because, let's be honest, at that age, no one knows what the heck they're doing. Everyone has a herd mentality. Everyone just wants to be in the crowd, have attention. It's just basic human nature. Everyone wants to be loved. Everyone wants to be liked. Everyone doesn't want to disagree or upset other people. And if you are going to be a Christian man in high school, and just honestly throughout your life, you have to be willing to go against the grain. Because then, if you're not willing to do that, you're just a lukewarm Christian. You're lukewarm and you are too afraid, even though you have the Almighty God on your side, who's supporting you, who's backing you. Now, my next point. Don't allow yourself to be swayed by the majority. There is going to be several times when you're seeing people that you thought were cool going to do all these things that you thought were wrong. But they're not considered wrong because everyone else does it. So then you're the weird one. So then they're going to push you and push you and push you. And you're going to fall into those traps. I can give you a perfect example of this. When you're in those ages and you're becoming of the age where people start dating, all of this stuff, especially as you start going through puberty. I'm just going to be flat out honest with you, right? Your testosterone increases, you're horny, you're all of these things, and you want to go on some dates, you want to have a relationship. And you see all these other people going into that and then talking about their experience, about how they were fornicating and all of this stuff. And it sounds great. It really does sound great. But if you look at the long-term stuff, you look at the long-term evidence, it's not great in the long run. Fornicating before marriage just leads to divorce. And what is the end goal of dating and relationships? Having a great wife and having a great family and producing good people for the next generation. But the hard thing is that's not what anyone else thinks. That's not what anyone else wants to do. I remember a specific time I didn't give a crap what God thought. Maybe a little bit, but not that much, because there was this one girl at the gym I went to. Don't get me wrong, she was pretty physically attractive. Was she the right person for me? No. No. She was not Christian, but I was thinking with my other head. Now, back to the story. It was one specific time I was at the gym. I go in the sauna, and it ends up that she's in there. I go in there, and she's looking at me. We talk. We have a good conversation. And afterwards, I look on my phone as I got into my car, and it says, follower notification from so-and-so. I'm like, all right, bet. I'm liking where this is going. I text her. It keeps on going forward. And I remember I was in my bathroom looking for a notification, thinking in my head, because I was like, God, you know what? I don't care. I am willing to sacrifice my celibacy, my virginity, to this random woman who I think is really hot, but she's already slept with multiple dudes, had multiple boyfriends. But that's fine. It's about the moment, right? It's about the enjoyment. But I didn't go down that path. Luckily, she rejected me, but I know that was for the best. And if I would have gone down that route, things would not have ended up the same. I would have had guilt. I would have felt embarrassed and ashamed when I was praying to the Lord. Now, these are things I have repented for, and I will continue to repent for, because I didn't realize how selfish that was. My next point. You can't be in both worlds. What do I mean by this? You can't have your little toe in the pool thinking, it's okay if I still go to parties, I won't drink. It's okay if I do this thing, but I'm still going to follow God. I'm still going to go to church on Sundays. I'm still going to pray. I'm going to still read the Bible. You can't have it both ways. I know that for a freaking fact. Because you know what's going to happen? You're going to go to that party, and you're going to see everyone else drinking, and you're going to feel peer pressured, because especially as a teenager, we don't know who we are. We don't know anything. We don't know what's right. We don't know what's wrong. Maybe in an objective sense, you know murder is wrong. But you don't know that the things you're doing now is actually wrong because everyone's doing it. Those habits of drinking, fornicating, of just acting in a degenerate way, it's all glorified. It's all positively reinforced behavior from everybody, from your phone, from social media, all of it. Because let's be honest, people are all on their phones, on Instagram. You're scrolling through all of your reels. It's all graphic images and sexual images, especially for guys. You're looking at all this stuff and you think it's normal, but it's not. And when you think that's normal, then you're just going to go to the party and you're going to end up fornicating. And then especially those who feel actually called by God and you feel like you were supposed to do something with God, you're just going to feel ashamed and embarrassed. And let me point this last thing out to you. These 4 years is not your life. I'm going to say that again. These 4 years are not your life. I was so focused on these 4 years because I thought they were the most important years of my life. You go to school with the same people for 4 years straight. You care so much about their opinions. And you know what's going to happen? You're going to receive your diploma. And then you're never going to see him again. But you spent those 4 years doing what everybody else wanted you to do. Making sure you fit in with the herd. Making sure you stayed on the path with all of them. So that you could enjoy high school and have a good high school experience. But now, it's after high school. You could have been in the gym. You could have been increasing your knowledge. You could have been increasing your relationship with God, building faith in Him, being in a way better spot than everybody else going down the road. Because let's be honest, even when you graduate at 18 years old, you're still insanely young. People don't get married until they're 30 nowadays. You have 12 freaking years to build something. And you could have set up those habits early instead of continuing to fall for the deception that is set in this generation from the devil, from the previous generations about, no, let's sleep around, let's drink alcohol, let's party, let's live it the fuck up. Huh? Right? But that's not the truth. And excuse my language, you shouldn't swear at a Christian. I'm just getting passionate about this freaking subject because there's so much BS. If you're a Christian man and you're in high school, stand against the grain. Don't be like me, where you let everyone decide your beliefs and your values and you followed them. Even though they didn't give a shit about you afterwards. If I had to go back and start my high school years over again, what would I do? To be honest, everything I went through built me and gave me these lessons so I can pass them on to you watching this. But if I had to restart, here's what I'd do. I would realize that I have the Bible at my disposal and focus on every single thing that it says about that. And I would realize that this is such a small portion of your life, and honestly, I'd rather live in my 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s and have a great time, not in the sense of partying, but in the sense of just having good habits, and I can attract the right people to live a great life. So what would I do? I would start prioritizing my health. Because whether you like it or not, the modern day has so many toxins that are messing with our bodies, messing with our health, messing with our mental health even. So I would do that. I would eat clean. I would avoid toxins. I would eat an animal-based diet. I would prioritize red meat. And I would go to the gym. I would prioritize getting my steps in so I could stay lean. I would prioritize reading the Bible and staying close to God. I would prioritize finding out who I am, finding out what my God-given mission is, and finding out what gifts has God given me that I should go all in on. And one last thing I need to say, you need to prioritize your testosterone. And do you want to know why I say that? Because if you look at every single biblical character, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Moses, Jesus, they all were willing to stand for what God wanted them to do and what they believed in. And the reason they didn't have to prioritize their health and focus on their hormones or their testosterone is because there was no toxic chemicals back in those days. All the food was natural. They were outside. They were getting sunlight. They were getting everything they needed to be healthy. Except now there's so much BS that's frying our brains, frying our health. You have to be seriously locked in about this stuff. Because let's be honest, they didn't have to think about that stuff. They were still able to have families. They were still able to be fertile. But nowadays, here's the difference. You have to make a choice if you want to be healthy, and you need to make that choice. Because if you don't, these things are only getting worse and worse and worse. And it's going to get to the point where if people that are younger and that are my generation don't change these habits, we're not going to be able to spread Christianity to our futures, kids and our future generations, so that they know the truth and they know what a good example of what a Christian man looks like. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you found it valuable, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and I will see you guys in the next video.